list of all the topics which Jesus speaks about in the Gospel, we might be quite surprised how often he talks about money. I'm going to follow his example tonight and talk to you about money. So if you kindly lock the doors until I'm finished, so no one can escape. One of the things Jesus says, of course, is that we have to consider who it is we serve in life. We cannot serve both God and money. And saying that we are followers of Christ, that we serve him, doesn't really mean a great deal if it's confined to beautiful sentiments and wonderful thoughts. It has to actually affect concrete areas of our life, such as how we spend our money, I suppose for that matter how we earn it as well. Yet despite the common perception that the church is always asking for money, in reality we very rarely hear teaching about the spiritual, religious basis of giving money, except of course when there's an obvious, urgent need for a new roof or a latest disaster in Africa or the Middle East. If we think about it, one very practical reason that giving to the parish is important is that in the future, indeed even in the present now, more and more work in parishes will be done by lay people, who of course need to be paid. Gone are the days when most of the work was done by large numbers of priests, nuns, and lay volunteers. In our parish here, we already employ part-time a secretary, a finance officer, a music director, and an organist. And there are several other areas where we could usefully spend money on people. Think of the whole area of catechetics, for example. We have a steady stream, as many parishes do, of people wanting to become Catholics, to get confirmed as adults, to have their children baptized, or to be confirmed as teenagers. Preparing these people adequately takes a lot of time and effort, and is too much work for one person alone. Another whole area is our music, where we're hoping to employ some choral scholars at one of the masses to improve the quality of our singing and our worship. Here we are very fortunate in that the finance committee of the parish a few years ago oversaw the conversion of part of the former parish school, just behind me here, into flats which provide us with an income that's supplemented by hiring out our hall and also from contributions paid by those who live in the parish house. It would be quite wrong to assume that these things provide for all our needs, and even if they did, surely an important part of being a member of a parish is to take a share in responsibility for providing for its work. And that's why this weekend we're asking all of you to think very seriously about what you currently give us and what you could give us on a regular basis in the future. And for this, of course, we need people to make a definite agreement for a fixed period of time, in other words, to engage in what is called planned giving. In a parish such as ours, where there are always lots of people coming, going, moving in and moving out, the amount contributed by planned giving inevitably goes down over time. If we look back over the last 5 years, we can see that has indeed happened. Some of you might say, well, this is not exactly a good time to be talking about giving more money to the church, even though the economic climate is supposed to be improving. Many people don't actually experience that in their daily lives. And in this area particularly, many people are struggling to make ends meet. But then again, if we're honest, when is ever a good time to talk about giving money? Scripture is very clear as to the basis in our spiritual lives as to why we should give. It's the recognition that everything we own comes from God and is simply held on trust by us for a period of time. Giving generously is a way of recognizing that, and also at the same time of exercising that fundamental gift of faith that God will reward us and look after us. And everything we give will come back to us in one way or another. As someone has memorably put it, God is never outdone in generosity. St. Paul, in our second reading today, gives a very eloquent expression of that, as he testifies to his own experience. At times he's experienced wealth, at other times poverty. He is not fazed by either of these experiences. When he's wealthy, he simply knows that it comes from God. When he's poor, he just has an opportunity to trust that God will look after him. So I'd suggest that a good way for all of us to begin is to take a long, hard look at our own financial situation, to make a conscious decision as to what proportion of our income we choose to give away. A long tradition, of course, suggests that the best percentage to think of is the tithe, or 10%. Some people may feel they have to start a bit lower than that. Of course, that is a percentage that includes all the money you wish to give away to good causes, not just to the parish. So having done that, the next step will be to decide what proportion of that you want to give to our parish work. And if that all sounds too complicated, a simpler approach is simply to look at what you currently give and ask if you could raise that by some small percentage. And as I say, none of this will work at all without entering into a definite agreement. It would be pointless if the collection here increased for a couple of weeks after this homily, only just to drop back to the same level later. So we need you to sign up to our planned giving scheme, and especially the arrangement by which you pay by a standing order, which is very simple. It has the added advantage that you can gift aid it. I'd like to point out, in case anyone is worried, that none of this information is passed on to the income tax authorities, and none of it is a legally binding agreement, so if your economic circumstances take a downturn, there's not going to be a knock on the door or a disapproving look from anyone because you haven't been able to keep it up. So please do take a form, as you're offered one as you leave the church. Pray and think carefully about how you can give a little more to support the work of spreading the gospel